Have you ever felt that the world was moving faster than your thoughts? That while others seem to unlock doors to abundance, you're still standing in front of one key in hand, afraid to turn it? The truth is, most people die still holding the key. Not because they weren't intelligent, not because they lacked talent, but because they never upgraded the one thing that separates the average from the extraordinary, the mind. The future doesn't belong to the lucky. It never has. It belongs to those who make themselves ready, to those who level up not just in money, not just in status, but in mentality, belief, and execution. You want wealth, you want freedom, you want to build a legacy that time will respect, then you must master the most valuable real estate you'll ever own, the 6 inches between your ears. And it begins right now, because today we burn mediocrity. There's a lie sold to you from birth that the game is fair, that success will eventually find you, and that doing just enough will be enough. But let me remind you, the dream you're chasing will never submit to a lukewarm effort. Look back in history. Carnegie didn't wait for permission. Edison failed 1,000 times, not because he enjoyed failure, but because he believed in the certainty of success. Walt Disney was told he lacked imagination. He didn't protest. He built an empire. The patterns are there. Every titan of industry, every self-made millionaire, every visionary, they didn't just rise. They reprogrammed their minds to demand more, to think differently, to burn excuses and ignite results. Your mind is a battlefield, and your beliefs are the weapons. What you believe about yourself, about money, about effort, about your worth, will shape every decision you make. And most people are operating with broken code. They've been taught to fear wealth, to distrust success, to avoid failure, to play small, to be realistic. But realism is just another word for surrender, a softened excuse to justify inaction. Understand this. Millionaires do not think like the masses. They are not wired the same. While most people seek comfort, millionaires seek clarity. While others seek approval, they seek results. While the average mind says, I hope, the millionaire mind says, I will. And that distinction is everything. The millionaire mind begins with radical clarity. If you don't know where you're going, you'll be at the mercy of everyone else's plan, and they have none for you. Clarity is power. It's the reason Elon Musk didn't stop at electric cars. He envisioned Mars. It's why Oprah went from poverty to power, because she saw something greater before anyone else did. You must train your mind to lock onto vision like a missile, unwavering, obsessed, unapologetic. This world will throw distractions at you every second, scrolling, doubting, comparing, all to keep your power diluted. But when you are clear, truly clear, your mind becomes a weapon. It filters out noise. It ignores the critics. It doesn't waste time convincing people who never believed in you to begin with. Clarity kills confusion. And when confusion dies, speed is born. But clarity without belief is a car with no fuel. So let's talk about belief, because it's not just a mindset, it's a force. It's what made Henry Ford say, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. You want to level up your future? You must first level up your inner dialogue. You can't plant seeds of doubt and harvest abundance. That's not how this works. The millionaire mind doesn't beg, it doesn't hope, it believes. With force, with certainty, with defiance. And here's the secret. Belief isn't something you find, it's something you build. Repetition is the key. Discipline is the lock. You speak it before you see it. You declare it before it manifests. That's what leaders do. They aren't waiting for evidence, they create it. Now, once you're armed with clarity and belief, comes the third weapon, vision. Vision isn't a wish list, it's a demand. It's what you see when your eyes are closed. It's the empire behind the grind. It's the fuel behind every early morning and late night. And if your vision doesn't scare you, it's not vision, it's maintenance. The greats never played to maintain, they played to dominate. Vision pulls you forward when motivation dies. Motivation is a match, vision is the eternal flame. You want to make millions? Good. But why? For whom? For what purpose? Do you want to escape the paycheck-to-paycheck grind? Great. But what are you running toward? If your goals aren't anchored in vision, they'll drown in comfort. The millionaire mind knows this, and that's why it doesn't negotiate with distractions. It doesn't chase 10 things at once. It moves with singular fire. One vision, one outcome, one destiny. But all of it, belief, clarity, vision, is nothing without the unshakable trait that turns thoughts into things. Discipline is what separates amateurs from professionals, wishers from doers, dreamers from legends. It's what makes you get up at 5 a.m. when your body says no. It's what makes you push past fear when your mind says stop. It's what builds millionaires in silence while others are sleeping, scrolling, or doubting. Every morning, you don't feel like showing up and do it anyway. That's millionaire DNA being written into your mind. Discipline is self-respect in motion. It says, I don't need to feel like it. I just need to become it. You think Musk feels inspired every day? No. He shows up anyway. You think Serena Williams felt excited to train at 4am? No. She trained anyway. They didn't wait for the right mood. They commanded their minds, and their minds obeyed. The average person is a slave to their emotions. The millionaire is the master of their decisions. And what fuels those decisions? Purpose. Purpose is the fire that never dies. It's what turns pain into power. It's what makes failure just another stepping stone instead of a graveyard. If you don't know your why, the how will always feel too heavy. People quit not because it's hard, but because they forgot why it mattered. Purpose is what made Nelson Mandela endure 27 years in prison and still walk out ready to lead. Purpose is what made Steve Jobs return to Apple and resurrect it from the ashes. You need a purpose so strong, so personal, so emotionally charged that quitting feels like betrayal, not relief. The millionaire mind doesn't just chase money, it chases meaning, because money is a tool, but purpose is the architect. And when all of that clarity, belief, vision, discipline, and purpose lock into place, action becomes inevitable. But not just any action. Massive, focused, intelligent, ruthless action. Because the world doesn't pay for thoughts. It pays for execution. You can't manifest your way into millions without work. You can't vision board yourself into legacy without sweat. Action is the great equalizer. Everyone wants results. Few want to bleed for them. Millionaires bleed for them. They move when others freeze. They act before they're ready. They launch while others are still perfecting the plan. Because they know the person who moves fastest learns fastest. Every hour you wait is another hour someone else is executing. The millionaire mind acts as if time is its most sacred asset, because it is. The clock is ticking. The future is being claimed, not by those who wait, but by those who level up. Those who rewire their minds for clarity, belief, vision, discipline, purpose, and relentless action. This world isn't slowing down, and neither should you. You are not here to merely survive. You are here to dominate, to build, to become. So the question is not, can I do it? The question is, am I finally ready to stop living below my potential? Because the future doesn't belong to everyone. It belongs to those who level up the millionaire mind. And leveling up the millionaire mind isn't a one-time decision. It's a daily rebirth. You don't rise once. You rise again and again in the face of resistance, doubt, failure, and fatigue. Because growth doesn't show up with a parade. It arrives disguised as discomfort. Most people run from the discomfort. Millionaire minds run toward it. That discomfort, it's the border of your old self, the edge of your current identity, the gateway to your next evolution. You have to get addicted to that edge. Because comfort zones don't expand, they rot. And that rotting mindset, it shows up in invisible ways. The hesitation before taking a leap, the excuse dressed as timing, the constant search for validation. You don't need validation. You need self-command. The greatest prison is not bars or chains. It's the invisible fence of self-doubt, built by years of average thinking. You were never meant to live inside that fence. The millionaire mind, it breaks it, destroys it, rewrites the rules, burns the old manual, and builds a new one with its name on the cover. But here's the truth that will scare most people. Every excuse is self-betrayal. Every time you say, I'll start tomorrow, you're teaching your brain that comfort is more important than progress. Every time you say, I'm not ready yet, you're choosing fear over freedom. Excuses are expensive. They cost you years. They cost you power. They cost you the life you could have had the one screaming to be born. But when you level up the mind, you no longer buy into the lie of someday. You wake up with urgency. You move with precision. You treat each moment like it matters because it does. The millionaire mind doesn't wait to be chosen. It chooses itself every single day. No permission needed, no applause required. And now we arrive at one of the most misunderstood weapons in the arsenal of the millionaire mind, gratitude. Not the soft social media kind, the kind forged in the fire. The kind that says, I may not have it all yet, but I'm already rich because I've become the kind of person who earns it. Gratitude doesn't make you passive, it makes you powerful. Because the mind that is grateful for what it has becomes magnetic for more. Gratitude sharpens focus. It dissolves entitlement. It silences the ego. It reminds you that abundance isn't just about accumulation, it's about appreciation. You don't get more until you master what you already have. That's how you create momentum. And momentum is everything. Ask any elite athlete, any top entrepreneur, any record-breaking artist, they'll all say the same thing. Momentum is a god. And once you have it, protect it like gold. Because once you stop moving forward, the world moves right past you. Let's go deeper now, because the millionaire mind doesn't just work hard. It works smart. It adapts. It evolves. It learns at light speed because it knows that information is currency. Not in the old school way, but in the new battlefield, the digital world, the global stage, the infinite marketplace of ideas where the most adaptable minds win. Adaptability is survival for the modern kingmaker. Those who cling to the old way perish. Blockbuster refused to adapt. Netflix ate their lunch. Taxi companies ignored evolution. Uber rewrote the map. Kodak didn't believe in digital. Now their legacy is a cautionary tale. You must be fluid, you must be sharp, you must evolve. The millionaire mind sees change, not as threat, but as opportunity in disguise. It studies the curve before it bends. It learns from losses faster than anyone else. It's humble enough to pivot, but never stops marching toward its vision. And if something no longer serves the mission, it's cut immediately. No guilt, no delay, because anything that doesn't add energy subtracts it. And time is too expensive to be wasted on subtraction. But let's get real about something else. You will be tested. You will be doubted, rejected, misunderstood, underestimated. You will be told you've changed, as if that's a bad thing. You will outgrow relationships, environments, even parts of yourself that once felt safe. And that's not weakness, that's the price of expansion. Every level of elevation requires separation. You're not abandoning people, you're advancing beyond limitation. You're not arrogant, you're aligned. The eagle doesn't apologize for flying above the clouds, it just flies. The millionaire mind understands this law. You cannot take everyone with you. Some people were part of your story, not your destiny. And when the noise gets loud, when the isolation kicks in, when the grind feels endless and the reward feels distant, that's when you double down. That's when you smile, because you know most people quit here, but not you. Not anymore. You were not born to blend in. You were born to break patterns. You were born to rewrite legacies, to become the first in your bloodline, to create generational wealth, to lead by example, to carry fire in your voice and thunder in your walk. And that requires resilience, the kind of resilience that bends but never breaks, because failure isn't the end, it's the refiner's fire. Ask anyone who ever built something immortal. Walt Disney was told he was lacking creativity. Jeff Bezos started Amazon in a garage with no guarantees. J.K. Rowling was rejected by over a dozen publishers. Resilience turns rejection into fuel. It says, "No one sees it yet, but I do." The millionaire mind treats every failure as feedback, every obstacle as a teacher, every setback as a setup for a greater leap. And eventually, the world that doubted you starts studying you, because nothing is louder than proof. But here's the truth most people never grasp. Success is lonely at the top because most people never had the courage to climb. It's not that others aren't capable. It's that they chose comfort over calling. And you're not here to play small. You're here to lead, to shape reality, to rise in such a way that generations look back and say, that's where the legacy began. You weren't born with limits, you were taught them. But now, you're untaught, unleashed, unchained, because the future doesn't care about your background, your past mistakes, or the people who told you it was impossible. The future only asks one thing. Did you level up? You want to level up your mind? Then let go of the fantasy that life should be easy, because easy doesn't build empires. The path to wealth, real wealth, not just money in the bank, but wealth in spirit, power, purpose, and legacy, is paved in pressure. And pressure reveals the truth. Pressure shows you what you're made of. Pressure exposes whether your dreams are real or just decoration for your self-image. See, most people fold under pressure. But the millionaire mind doesn't crumble, it compacts, it concentrates, it becomes diamond. You don't rise when it's convenient, you rise when it's required. And right now, in this world, this chaotic, noisy, distraction-drenched world, there has never been a greater time to become unshakable. Because here's what no one wants to say. Distraction is the new poverty. Mental chaos is the new chain. And focus is the new gold mine. You must guard your focus like a king guards the gates of his kingdom. You cannot afford to leak your energy into gossip, envy, comparison, or criticism. Those things steal more dreams than failure ever will. The millionaire mind says, if it doesn't build, it doesn't belong. You cut off the noise, you study your craft, you protect your mental diet, you train your attention like a warrior trains his blade. Because what you focus on, you feed. And what you feed grows. If you feed fear, it grows. Feed excuses, they grow. But if you feed vision, if you feed clarity, intention, execution, your life transforms, not by luck, not by chance, by cause and effect. That's the real law of attraction. Not wishful thinking, not vision boards alone. It's vision plus movement, clarity plus commitment, desire plus discipline. The universe responds to aligned energy, not empty wishing. And that's where most people get stuck. They desire, but they don't decide. They dream, but they don't declare. And a dream without a decision is just a fantasy slowly dying in the basement of your mind. You want to level up? You want to activate the millionaire mind? Then declare war on indecision. Because indecision is spiritual decay. It corrodes your confidence, rots your momentum, poisons your peace. Nothing costs more than maybe. The millionaire mind lives in certainty. It says, this is who I am, this is where I'm going, this is what I do, no matter who watches, no matter who doubts. You don't need 10 plans. You need one decision, backed by fire, executed with force, refined with focus. The moment you decide, really decide, the universe rearranges. Doors open. Resistance appears not to stop you, but to shape you, because every great decision is followed by a great test, not to break you, to prove you. That's the furnace most people never enter. They stay on the edges. They flirt with greatness. They rehearse potential. But the millionaire mind walks into the fire and says, let it burn what must burn, but I'm coming out with gold. That's how you become unstoppable. Not because you avoid pain, but because you're willing to go deeper than most. You want to know the truth? Discipline is love in action. It's not punishment, it's power. It's what says, I believe in my future enough to suffer in the present. It's skipping the party because your purpose is louder. It's waking up early when nobody's watching because legacy doesn't sleep. It's saying no to the easy path so you can say yes to the extraordinary life. Discipline is how the millionaire mind takes form, not in public, but in the dark, quiet hours when no one sees the grind, no one claps for the effort, and no one celebrates the sacrifice. That's when you build. That's when you forge the mind that the future will belong to. And the most powerful part, it was never about becoming someone else. It was about remembering who you really are before the world told you to shrink. Because the real you is limitless. The real you doesn't beg. The real you doesn't fear. The real you doesn't delay, doesn't doubt, doesn't dilute your voice to make others comfortable. The real you levels up without apology because you know the cost of staying small and you're done paying it. But let me ask you this. What are you tolerating that's stealing your future? Because what you tolerate, you invite. Every excuse you justify, every toxic voice you entertain, every minute wasted on things that don't elevate you is a silent agreement to stay average. And that's the quiet killer of greatness, not failure, but tolerance. See, most people never crash. They coast. They decay slowly, one compromise at a time. But the millionaire mind refuses to rot in mediocrity. It draws a line in the sand and says, no more. No more shrinking to fit in. No more selling out for comfort. No more goals without grit. No more days without direction. Because the future, the real future, the one you deserve, the one you were born for, doesn't belong to the lukewarm. It belongs to the obsessed. The ones who train when it's hard, who rise when it's dark, who keep moving when no one claps, who sacrifice now for a vision no one else can see yet. They aren't chasing the spotlight. They become the light, and not because they had it easy, but because they trained their minds like gladiators, focused, disciplined, unstoppable. Do you think Elon Musk stopped when people mocked him? Do you think Oprah paused when doors slammed? Do you think Thomas Edison quit at failure number 999? No, because their mind was already leveled up. Before the millions, before the headlines, before the applause. It starts there in the mind, where you believe before you have proof, where you invest before you have results, where you act before you feel ready. That's what separates the visionaries from the visitors. See, most people visit their dreams. They walk around them like tourists, taking pictures, writing wish lists, but the millionaire mind moves in. It lives there, breathes there, builds there even when it looks impossible, especially when it looks impossible. Because those who build empires don't wait for guarantees, they become the guarantee. And once that switch flips, you start seeing life differently. Failure, now it's fuel. Doubt, now it's data. Obstacles, now they're training partners. Because you stop asking, will it be hard? And you start asking, will it be worth it? And that shift, that razor-sharp shift, is where the average die and the extraordinary are born. So no more waiting. No more hoping the world figures it out for you. No more praying for someone to come rescue your potential. You are the one. You are the turning point in your bloodline. You are the one your younger self dreamed of. And your future self, they're not hoping for ease. They're hoping you finally rise. But let me be clear. You don't become this version of yourself by accident. You craft it. You carve it from the stone of struggle with tools made of discipline, belief, and relentless focus. You don't find the millionaire mind, you forge it. It's born in silence when the world is sleeping and you're still grinding. It's chiseled in rejection when the no's outnumber the yeses 10 to 1. It's refined in decision when comfort calls, but you choose growth anyway. The world will never hand you transformation because the world only respects those who demand it. It's the quiet refusal to quit, the radical commitment to improvement, the deep inner oath that says, no matter how long it takes, how much it costs, how hard it gets, I will not die with my potential still locked inside me. That is the millionaire mind. And here's the twist. It's not about money. Money is the byproduct, the symptom, the signal. The real power is the mindset that builds it. One that doesn't beg for opportunity, but creates it. Think about it. Carnegie didn't just stack wealth, he stacked impact. He built libraries, institutions, entire systems of human progress because his vision wasn't limited to income, it expanded to legacy. Henry Ford didn't just build cars, he reinvented motion itself. He democratized mobility. He taught the world that innovation and accessibility could coexist because his mind had already leveled up to systems, not just paychecks. And you got that same fire in you, but it's been buried under bills, opinions, doubts, rejections, fears, past wounds. That ends today. Because the moment you stop waiting to feel ready, the moment you stop needing outside permission, you awaken the mind that turns ideas into empires. Not overnight, not without sacrifice, but without question. The question is no longer, can I? The question is, will I? Will I rise above the noise? Will I outgrow the version of me that's settled? Will I build in silence until the results speak for me? Because there's no more room for dabbling. You're not here to dabble. You're not here to blend in. You're here to disrupt, to elevate, to become the proof that it's possible not just for you, but for everyone watching you. Your friends, your family, your future children, even your enemies. They're all waiting to see, will you level up or fold? Let this sink in. You don't need more motivation. You need a new identity. Because the moment you become the person who no longer negotiates with weakness, the results take care of themselves. You don't need to fake confidence. You become confidence. You don't need to chase success. Success starts chasing you. That's what the world doesn't understand. They think it's about routines, hacks, shortcuts, but all of that is just noise. The real shift, it happens the second you say, I am done being who I was. That line, that declaration, it's not just words, it's a sword. It cuts through years of stagnation. It pierces the heart of hesitation. It severs the identity that served you in survival but cannot follow you into greatness. Let me tell you something. They won't teach you in school. You don't get what you deserve. You get what you demand, and not with your words, with your standards. The way you wake up, the way you speak to yourself, the way you move when no one is watching. Millionaire minds are made in the invisible. Not when people are clapping, but when it's quiet. When the alarm rings at 5 a.m. and your comfort begs for 5 more minutes and you say no. When your bank account is low, but you invest in the course, the book, the coach anyway, because you don't make decisions based on your circumstances, you make them based on your standard. You don't let life push you around. You direct it. Because let me tell you what they'll never advertise. Most people you meet, most people you know, they've already surrendered. They still breathe, but they've stopped becoming. They trade their fire for followers. They chase approval instead of purpose. They memorize motivational quotes, but never turn them into conviction. And the worst part, they'll try to convince you to slow down. They'll say you're too intense, too focused, too ambitious. They'll try to tame your fire because your fire scorches their excuses. But listen, you are not here to be liked. You are here to be legendary. And the road to legacy, it's paved with solitude, sacrifice, and self-belief so fierce it offends the mediocre. So the question stands, will you betray your future for temporary approval? Or will you rise and meet the version of yourself that's been calling you for years? That voice you hear in the stillness, that pull in your chest when you daydream, that's not fantasy. That's your higher self remembering what you came here to build. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are not lost. You are on the edge. Right now, everything you need is already inside you, screaming to be activated. So now, here we are, at the edge of your potential, the edge of your excuses, the edge of your old life. This is the line. And there is no returning to sleep once you've glimpsed the truth. That everything you need to become unstoppable was never out there. It was always in you. It's not about motivation, it's about transformation. It's not about waiting for opportunity, it's about becoming the force that creates it. It's not about hustling harder, it's about elevating higher. The difference between the forgotten and the legendary is not luck. It's decision. One decision. The decision to never again live beneath your potential. The decision to build when no one claps. The decision to believe when nothing in your environment justifies it. The decision to bet on you, because that's all it takes. A single choice made with total conviction can ignite a life that reshapes the world. That's the truth Edison knew as he failed 0 times. That's the belief Musk held when SpaceX exploded on the launch pad. That's the courage Disney carried when every banker turned him down. They weren't special. They were committed. And now it's your turn to walk away from the smallness, to silence the noise, to rise above the doubt, the delay, the disbelief, and to say once and for all, I am not who I was. I am who I decide to become. That declaration, that's how you level up the millionaire mind. Not with whispers, but with war cries that echo through your habits, your discipline, your action, day in, day out, until the world has no choice but to take notice. So let them sleep. Let them scroll. Let them wait. You will rise. You will grind in silence until your results roar. You will carry the burden of vision until it becomes the blessing of reality. You will be feared by the average and followed by the hungry. You will lead by example, not by explanation. And when the world asks what happened, you'll smile and say, I leveled up the mind, and everything else followed. Because the future, it doesn't belong to the loudest. It doesn't belong to the luckiest. It doesn't even belong to the most talented. It belongs to those who level up the millionaire mind and never look back. Now go and build it